Finally, today is time for some proper mods on my BMW M2 competition, and I've been waiting for this moment for quite a while now, and here it is. We're gonna fit a brand new exhaust system to my M2 competition. And while I was researching exhaust options for my M2 competition, I found that I really struggled to find detailed reviews of such systems from people that actually fitted them to their car. So in today's video, I'd figure I'd do one myself. But don't worry, today I'll spare you with the look, two guys are mounting an exhaust to my car clips, and we'll dive straight into the most interesting part, the sound of the new exhaust, with lots of sound clips, of course. So in today's video, I'm gonna tell you why I went for the Milltek equal length exhaust for my M2 competition. I'll show you some clips of how the car sounds like with the stock exhaust versus the new one, back to back in various scenarios. I'll explain why this exhaust is louder than most backbox systems available on the market right now. And finally, I'm gonna give you my honest impressions of how the exhaust sounds like after I fitted it to the car. And on top of that, I'll be using an app on my phone that measures loudness, just so you guys get an idea of how much louder the new exhaust is compared to the stock one. It's obviously not a scientific way of measuring how loud an exhaust is, but I'm sure it's better than nothing, and you will get a rough idea of the differences between the two exhausts. Now let me explain why I chose the Milltek equal length system for my car. I've thought long and hard about it. I went through all the options available for this car, literally all the options available for an M2 competition, exhaust options that is. And I've decided on this Milltek system for two main reasons. The first one would be because it is louder than the stock one, which is kind of what we look for when we change an exhaust, right? And the second one is the fact that this being an equal length system, it will make the S55 sound less like an S55. If you want a video explaining the exhaust of the M2 competition and why it sounds the way it does, and if you also want an explanation of what an equal length exhaust system does to such a car, I've made a detailed video explaining all of this, and you can find it linked below the like button. But anyway, let's fast forward to after the exhaust is mounted to this car and see, and more importantly hear, how it transforms the M2 competition. And here it is, and a couple of things I want to mention before you see or hear how this exhaust sounds like. First things first, I went with the carbon tips. Please excuse the dust on my car, but I literally washed it an hour ago and drove it to this forest road, and it's all dusty because all the snow is gone, and now we're left with just dust. So carbon fiber exhaust tips, I went for this option because at some point in the next months this is gonna go and it's gonna be replaced with a carbon fiber diffuser. Second of all, no more saggy balls. Yep, that ugly back box of the stock exhaust is now gone, finally. And the last thing is, don't you think the rear of the car looks even more aggressive with the wider tailpipes, or larger in diameter tailpipes, of the Milltek equal length system? I think it does. Now, on to the exhaust clips. So, how come the Milltek equal length exhaust system is louder than most back box exhaust systems on sale right now? Well, in order to understand that, I have to explain very quickly how the exhaust system on an M2 competition is structured. Now, first off, you obviously have the downpipes that go from the engine all the way down underneath the car, and from there on you have what's called the mid pipe. On that mid pipe you have the gas particle filters, of course, that drown out most of the cool sound this car makes. Then you have a dampener, and then you have the actual back box of the car with the tailpipes. So there are three ways you can improve the sound of the M2 competition. First off, there's a cat pack solution, which basically starts from the downpipes and goes all the way to the back of the car. And then you have a so-called axle back, which basically starts from the rear axle and goes all the way to the back. And the Milltek equal length solution is basically a GPF back exhaust, which means it starts from somewhere over here right after the gas particle filters. And yeah, when you go for such a system, when the stock exhaust is gonna be cut to fit the new one, you will also lose the center dampener. And basically, that's what's gonna make the Milltek equal length system louder than other aftermarket back boxes out there. This exhaust completely transforms the M2 competition, and I know it might sound like a cliche what I'm about to say, but this is how an M car should sound from factory. Funny story, as I drove out of the shop, I put my windows down, put the car in Sport Plus mode, and started accelerating mildly, and I scared the shit out of myself because I thought something broke on the car. That's how loud the exhaust is with the windows down. It's insane. Tunnel. Sounds more guttural, it's throatier, it's got a deeper throne, it's angrier, and when you floor the throttle in Sport Plus mode, initially you hear a quite nice metallic sound to it, and then as you go up the revs, you immediately start to hear the equal length system do its thing. It does retain a bit of the S55 character, the noise of the car now, but the higher you rev the engine, the less S55 noise you'll hear coming from the back. I'm really happy with how the car sounds, honestly. I was a bit nervous when buying the exhaust without hearing it in real life, and yeah, I'm over the moon with it. It's exactly what I wanted. I love the versatility of this exhaust. For example, in comfort mode, when you're just cruising around, the car is basically exactly as it was stock. It's quiet, there's no drone, no vibrations, nothing. You almost forget that you have an aftermarket exhaust fitted. But when you rev it, even in comfort mode, once you go past 4,000 RPM, the exhaust starts to scream. Now, obviously, because you're in comfort mode, you're not gonna have any burbles on the overrun, any crackles, any pops, nothing, but you will definitely hear the exhaust when you're on it, even in comfort mode. However, when you put the car in Sport Plus mode and start accelerating, that's when everything is turned up to 11. The car burbles a lot when you lift up, it crackles, it pops. And all sorts of loud and beautiful noises are coming out of the back of this car. It finally, in my opinion, is a true M car. Now, before I end this video, there's a few things you have to consider if you plan to buy one of these exhaust systems. And the first one is that you really need to turn ASD off in this car. ASD being the fake noise that's being pumped through the speakers of this car. I mean, if you're accelerating this car with the windows up, that idiotic system is so loud that it overpowers the exhaust. It's the most annoying feature about this car, honestly. And the second thing you might want to consider is some small vibrations at very low RPMs. I mean, below 1000 RPM. But you do have to pay close attention in order to hear or feel those vibrations, because otherwise, yeah, they'll go unnoticed. When you approach an intersection and you slow down almost to a standstill, this DCT box doesn't really downshift to first gear, and instead it's gonna keep the car in second gear at around 800 RPM, and when you start accelerating again, you're gonna feel the vibrations. But I personally don't think it's a big issue, but because I want to give you my full impressions, yeah, I thought I'd mention this as well. But that's it for today, my friends. I really hope you've enjoyed this video. If you have any questions regarding this exhaust, feel free to comment down below and I'll make sure to answer as many questions as I can. And I think you'll be happy to know that the mods for this car are just beginning to roll in, because I have ordered a pair of Bilstein dampers tuned by Litchfield, and they should be here in about 3 or 4 weeks time, so stay tuned for that one.